Welcome back, everyone. My name is Caleb. Clearly, I'm having video problems. It's fine. We'll get it figured out. We've made it to another beautiful Saturday of college football. I'm joined by two guests today. One of them is probably the most annoying man in my whole contacts today, Mr. James Lilliquist. James, how we doing?
VOLS. Beat the hell out of Alabama because we do not give a whole shit about the whole state of Alabama. Man, I can't wait for this game.
And y'all thought I was lying when I said the most annoying man in my contact list I happen to be joined by today. But we are joined also today by our good friend, Mr. Sean Stewart. Sean, how we doing this morning?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, stunting over there, I see, huh?
Look at all them bright ass lights he's got. You
Man,
know,
he's trying to bright light out there. Something, jeez. Well, fellas, we are. I think I saw this is the third time ever, and the first time in 20 years. Is how historic this weekend is. For the first time in 20 years, we've got 3 games of teams 5-0 better facing off in week 6 or later. Wow. We have the third Saturday in October with third-ranked Alabama going on the road to play Tennessee. We have Mr. Sean Stewart's Michigan Wolverines hosting the 10th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. And we also have number 8 ranked Oklahoma State going on the road to Fort Worth to play TCU. And if any of you had TCU undefeated, you're lying.
You liar.
That's just how it's going to be. You're just lying. We're not. Exactly. We can't lie like that. We're truth tellers over here. That's why we can all shut up, James, and just say Georgia State. Anyways, not different show for a different time.
Don't make me.
James, if you can't watch Alabama, Tennessee, which one of those other 2 games are you going to be tuned into?
Oh, I'm going to be 100%. I'm going to be watching Penn State, Michigan. Michigan. Just because not only do I want to watch, see what James Franklin's got with that new running back who's freaking like Shaquan Barkley, just freaking running.
I think he's bigger than Saquon too.
And also, I am excited because this is the first team that actually with a pulse Michigan has to play this year.
Well,
and
they win against Maryland. And Sean and I, this is nothing him and I haven't talked about. We went back and forth a couple of times. Yes, they let Indiana hang around a lot longer than they should have. So I am also going to be interested for that same reason. I want to see how competitive Michigan's going to be because this is a team that can beat them. Sean, I'm going to ask you the same thing. You can't watch Michigan Penn State. Which game are you watching today?
I am looking forward for the USC and Utah game. That is the one game I'm very excited at because I really want to see how can USC offensive line can handle Utah. Because if you look at USC the previous weeks, they haven't even faced anybody outside of like Oregon State. You know what I mean? They couldn't have lost that game. And Washington State because we did talk about that game before.
And we have that game later on down our list. I am going to be intrigued. I will watch the Alabama-Tennessee game. I told James already. If Tennessee gives me another heart attack, I am going to go find him. And bad things are going to happen. I may be without a co-host next week.
You're going to try. You're going to try. We're going to do it again.
I try to tell him, you can beat teams convincingly. You don't have to bring it down to the wire.
Nope. Don't understand it.
And Tennessee just doesn't understand how to just, make games not close.
Nope.
I do think that Oklahoma State TCU game is going to be interesting because I do think that Oklahoma State is the Big 12's way to the playoffs. Baylor's now has 3 losses, and James and I love the Fighting Dave Arandas.
Absolutely.
But this is not the year that we expected them to have.
Nope. And
I feel like I'm not sure. I trust an Oklahoma State to go undefeated or only lose one more game more than I do TCU. So if I had to talk about that game, it's going to be I feel like Oklahoma State's going to be the Big 12's way to the playoffs. We kind of went through and got some other key games today, and we'll kind of touch on them. Minnesota goes on the road to play Illinois. This could be the game that decides who wins the Big Ten West. Right. Now, Nebraska has it all in front of them. The only thing that worries me about Illinois making it to the Big 12, the Big Ten championship game is they do play Michigan. And Minnesota does not. And you have Purdue sitting there too. Tied. I think they're tied at 2-1 who beat Minnesota last week. And they also have to play Illinois still. James, what are your thoughts on this Minnesota-Illinois game?
I think. Well, first of all, it's Illinois. The S is silent.
Whatever. You can go. Never mind. We're in.
However,
PG around here. Okay.
However, I think Illinois got a great chance. Just because, yes, I know that they have that one loss baked in there. However, they still got to play Purdue, and I think this game with the Purdue also mixed in there is who's going to be representing the West in Indianapolis this year. So I see this as a very big game. Minnesota has to win this game if they want to have the shot, though, because they've already lost their game. Illinois hasn't, and I don't think Purdue has either, or they've already played.
Purdue lost to Penn State opening weekend.
Okay, so they had I forgot about that. That was
a
really
State
tight
plays
game.
In the East, so they still have all of it in front of them as well.
They do, absolutely. So I feel like these three teams are the teams, and you know, whoever said Illinois was going to be winning the Big Ten West is a goddamn liar. I'm sorry for not being PD. They were a damn liar, and they need to go in the corner and feel bad for themselves because nobody was thought about the Illini out of Champaign.
James, next year we need to print out the preseason odds for all these teams so we can go back when Illinois or someone like that's not supposed to be there is in the hunt, and we can see where they were supposed to be.
Oh, hey, what about that Tennessee winning the SEC odds back in the day?
Man, weren't we talking about Illinois?
We're going to try, but I'm going to bring it back, baby.
Okay. All right, Jody, chill out over there.
Whoa.
All right.
Whoa.
Sean, which team would scare you more, Illinois or Minnesota?
I would have to say Illinois because of their defense, because the way they handled Iowa last week. You know what I mean? And then I look at the schedule.
You mean Iowa who can't score?
Yeah, you mean Iowa who has negative 16
and
yards
Illinois who won 9-6, so they didn't really show much fight either.
Exactly, because that's like the only team they have in the East, if I'm not mistaken, and that is for Illinois.
So for me, I'm on Row the Vote. We are big PJ Fleck fans over here. Mohai Ibrahim hasn't played. He didn't play last week against Purdue, so I do think that was a difference. He was the second leading rusher in the conference. In the nation. I don't really know what's happening with my video, but it's thoroughly annoying.
So the only reason why I'm actually going with Illinois is just because Brett Bielema loves, and I do really like their running back they have there. Right. And they're gonna pound the rock. They're gonna play Big Ten football when everybody else is trying to spread everybody out and do crazy stuff. They're gonna bring it back to the 60s, baby. They're gonna be running power I, dives in the middle of the garden center. They're just gonna pound.
They're gonna use what we call a fullback.
What?
And for a fullback?
What is word?
Fullback? Okay. James, off camera, I'll have to explain to you what a fullback is, okay?
We haven't used a fullback since the 80s, dog.
Tennessee runs like 3 plays every 22 seconds. So a fullback would only slow them down. So exactly. I'm going to have to explain to you what a fullback is later, okay? All right. The next one we have is 15th ranked NC State goes on the road to Syracuse. 18th ranked and plays in the Dome. This game was a lot more sexy before Devin O'Leary was ruled out. I watched the end of the NC State Florida State game last week, and with the backup quarterback, NC State didn't throw the ball one time in the second half. This guy's a walk-on from Charleston Southern. So I think I'm going to trust Sean Tucker and Syracuse to win this game. Sean?
Yes.
Thoughts on this game?
I can see this as a close game because who would ever thought Syracuse would be like ranked right now because they're like ranked.
Well, Dino Babers does that once every 5 years.
Hey, he comes up and sneaks you.
So,
I mean, okay, so with
a close game,
yeah, I can see it as a close game just because I do not trust Syracuse's quarterback in a big time situation. I just don't.
Yeah, we watched it in the Virginia game.
Yeah, he single-handedly tried to give Virginia.
You and I were going back and forth the whole time over this Virginia Syracuse game.
Yes, and it was he's hot. I feel like he's one of the worst Power 5 quarterbacks in
I don't
any
know.
of the Power
Colorado
5.
still exists, so
Well, I mean, we leave the buff out of this, okay? They're just they're a walking trash heap, dumpster fire on dumpster fire. So
the next one we have is congratulations to the James Madison Dukes, first year in FBS. It also only
Fun
took
belt,
them
baby.
5 games to be ranked. They're playing their first game as a ranked team this week in Statesboro against Georgia Southern and the Fighting Clay Heltons. Do we think that James Madison is going to make it to 6-0?
I feel like that game, but when it comes up with James Madison versus Coastal Carolina, is going to be one of the biggest games of the week. And I know that everybody else is not going to be caring about some Fun Belt action, but that's going to be one of the best games.
Here's why I care about that game. Do you remember when James Madison played App State?
Absolutely.
James, you and I went back and forth about this. James Madison was down 28-3, and they came back and won that game. So they have the ability to go out, and Keith nailed it. We love small schools around here. Fun Belt and Maction are our sweet spots. Yeah, we're both James and I are both SEC guys, and Sean is in Michigan, so we know they have the Michigan schools and the MAC up there. We love watching midweek Maction and Fun Belt action.
Yeah,
it's better. It's better than whatever the NFL's trotting out there on Thursday nights.
Ain't that the truth? I'm going to watch this game because we watched Georgia Southern go in and just throw points up against Nebraska. So I think this has the potential to be a shootout.
And also the atmosphere. I love Statesboro's college scene there. Statesboro might be in the middle of F-tard nowhere in the middle of Southeast Georgia. But man, are they passionate about Georgia Southern football and baseball and all that.
And their baseball.
They're nuts, and I love it.
All right, the next one, we have 16th ranked Mississippi State going on the road to play 22nd ranked Kentucky. James, I'm not going to let you have a crack at this because I know what you're going to say. Will Levis is going to play this game. He dealt with some turf toe last week. I just want to know, is anybody going to stop Will Rogers from just throwing the ball all over the yard? There was a stat that came out either last week or the week before that. It took him 28 games to break the completion record in the SEC that Aaron Murray had that he got in 52 games. James, I lied. I'm going to let you talk about Mississippi State and how you want them to just run all over Kentucky, even though they don't run the ball.
So actually, they did run the ball last week, which was very funny to see.
Yeah, we love the Pirate over here too.
The Pirate doing Pirate stuff there.
I think we have a collective love for Mississippi State on the West.
Yes, just because
we love the Pirate.
They're the least offensive SEC West school for the SEC East to deal with. However, it's also, who would have thought that Kentucky's defense would be this bad this year? And this is coming from a guy who's a Tennessee fan who I understand that nobody likes.
Did y'all get together before this? Did y'all get together?
Yeah, you know. Shh.
Did y'all get together? Is there a conspiracy theory here?
I'm not. We work in mysterious ways. Okay?
Man, go ahead.
The world works in mysterious ways. However, Kentucky had such high hopes this year, and their defense has let them down so much that Will Levis has been exposed as the guy who cannot win a football game, and that and everyone has him as the number one pick, and he is just not that good.
How much do you feel like Chris Rodriguez being out those first 4 games hurt that offense in general?
It really.
Because I definitely think it hurt him in the Ole Miss game.
It did. However, that you're supposed to have this dynamic quarterback and everything, and all it does is they go revert back to freaking dinosaur football and Chris Rodriguez going up the middle. Right. And it really I feel like for how much it helps Kentucky, it also hurts them because they revert back to this dinosaur type football that is not going to work, especially when you're playing against the big boys like Georgia and Tennessee and even Florida. I think Florida has something for them when it comes to that situation.
You want to talk about? I'm going to piggyback off with you, and I'm going a different
way.
I
mean, even though they beat Florida,
you want to talk about quarterbacks that are overrated? I have said this all year. Anthony Richardson is probably the most overrated quarterback in the SEC.
I can't say much.
SEC has Spencer Rattler. You still have Spencer Rattler that exists too.
Oh God, that was overrated. However, I mean, Anthony Richardson is great when he is able to ad lib and run, but when they him up, and Tennessee did not do a great job against that.
Isn't that all athletic quarterbacks? You have to learn to be a quarterback and then use your athleticism.
Yes, I agree
Everybody
with that.
hated on Johnny Manziel.
I know Sean would agree with that with was it McCluskey or
McCarthy? JJ
McCarthy. Yeah,
because we saw Sean. That's a good
JJ
point.
McCarthy.
Sean, we saw in the Maryland game and even some in the Indiana game where McCarthy got anxious in the pocket and just didn't want to stand in there anymore.
And that completely hurts your confidence.
Say that again.
Because he didn't really look confident in that Indiana game and Maryland game.
No. And we can be real. Michigan probably has a top 5 runner in college.
Yes,
and he still just can't seem to just want to stay in the pocket. So
I mean, and that's why you had the kid from Reno out there still being the quarterback, even though he's average and mid. Was that because
Shane McNamara
from freaking McCam or from Sparks, Nevada? Still, he was mid as hell, but he was actually able to move the offense a little bit. Whereas JJ, when everything goes out, he wants to run, and that just doesn't work in certain situations.
Sean, do you think McNamara is going to be there next year? Or is he going to transfer out?
I think he's going to transfer out.
Okay, that's kind of the way I was going to. And Sean, now we got the game you brought up. USC goes on the road to play Utah. We have our resident Utah fan over here. Sean, I'm going to let you give your thoughts. Then I'm going to kind of reiterate points I've brought up all week, and I'll let James bring us up. So what are your thoughts on this USC-Utah game?
All right. So as I said before, one of the things I have problem with this with UFC, one is their offensive line. Number two is their defense. And Utah, they can score some points, but they ain't like no top 10 type of team like that. So this is like a real test for USC to see like if they can stay undefeated.
I am looking at this game for 2 reasons. If USC beats Utah, I will be more impressed by USC. But I also want to see USC stop the run. They have not been able to do that. If USC wins 31-13, I'll be impressed. If they win 51-49, isn't this what we expect from Lincoln Riley?
It wouldn't be a surprise.
If you look, the farther away he got from Bob Stoops, the worse his defense has got. And you brought Alex Grinch with you, who was your DC at Oklahoma. And let's not pretend that Oklahoma can't go get defensive guys. If you go recruit a defensive guy, you're probably losing out to 6 to 10 schools at most. So you still can get cream of the crop players. I just don't know that they want to play defense.
And Alex is not a terrible defensive coordinator because he did great at Washington State with Mike Leach.
That's so very
he's used to being. He is a very big. He's very good with dealing with these spread type offenses, hurry up offenses, air raiding, and everything. But yet he needs the talent. I mean, it's not just about X's and O's. It's about Jimmy's and Joe's. Shout out Coach JB. Absolutely. You need the talent as well. And that is, and Sean brought up a good point about stopping the run. This is going to be Utah. Utah's going to be coming in for the knockout punch. They got the special game. This is their 22 game they have with their special jerseys and everything for honoring their 2 fallen teammates from last year. And it's in Salt Lake City. And I mean,
and they've already got 2 losses this year.
And they're a wounded animal mode. So
they lost to UCLA last week. They can't afford to have 2 conference losses in the middle of October.
And you know what? And I'm worried about, and the thing I'm most worried about Utah is not the run. It's the quarterback. I mean, Rising has shown that he cannot win when it comes into the big game there. When it comes in the moment, when it comes into winning time, he has always found a way. And I mean, it wasn't just the pick in the end zone against Florida. That
was terrible.
He was terrible the entire drive. He was throwing pick balls the entire drive.
And it just finally caught up. Worse. I think that was made worse. And it was a terrible throw. There was no reason to throw that. You were down 2 points. A field goal would have won you the game, and your defense helped you 0 that game.
Yes. But, I mean, it was still – he was throwing pick balls and things that were begging to be intercepted the entire game or the entire drive prior to that interception. So how are you supposed to trust this guy when it comes down to crunch time? And even if it is a shootout, I still think USC is going to win because it's in a shootout, and I believe their quarterback is better than Utah. And then Rising, I think what is it? Cam Williams is better.
Caleb
Caleb Williams. Sorry, it's a C in a Williams. He's a better
You were
quarterback.
almost there. You got C.A. Williams.
I got it. All right, I got around there. You get to it. He's a better quarterback, and I feel like in this type of offenses, and in this type of game we have now, quarterback is such a big thing. That's why Alabama's rushing Bryce Young to play when he shouldn't be playing this week. And I know we're going to get to that later, but Bryce Young is having to be rushed back from having an AC joint sprain in his throwing shoulder just because he's a better quarterback than the ones they got.
So I agree with everything you said. I think this game will come down to Cam Rising. I do think Utah needs to run the ball, but he is going to have to beat this defense over the top. Because if all you're doing is running the ball, they will put 8 in the box, and they will make Cam Rising throw the ball. James and I found game of the week, and usually game day goes here, so I'm a little disappointed that they haven't.
I'm sorry. There's not a top friggin' 10, once in a lifetime third Saturday in October to go to.
This ranking is better. We have third-ranked South Dakota State on the road in the Fargo Dome to play top-ranked North Dakota State.
Wow.
We love FCS football over here, if you didn't know.
I love
when game day goes to these FCS schools. James, did we get a time on this game? Did you see the time when you looked up?
Hold on, I'll search for it right as we speak.
Because I need to circle, asterisk, everything, so I'm watching this game. I was interested to see how South Dakota State was going to rebound this year. Going to be the head coach at Idaho last year.
3:30.
3:30. Thank you. I guess I'll have that on one TV in Alabama, Tennessee.
And it's on ESPN Plus for everybody to watch.
I have ESPN Plus, so I have to put that on my big TV and put Alabama, Tennessee on my phone.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
I love
That's
these
a cheap
Dakotas.
shot.
James, you brought up a good point. In the FCS, if you're not in the Dakotas or the Montanas, because you've got Sam Houston State leaving, Jacksonville State leaving,
I mean, outside of Weber State, which is in Utah, which is so far away from Montana,
and Eastern Washington. Eastern Washington had a good run on that red field.
Yes, on that eyesore of a field.
I love the red field. You can go. Never mind. Anyway,
it hurts my eyes. It hurts. It physically hurts
my eyes. Okay.
I mean, I gotta wear sunglasses like Sean does to watch that game.
That's okay because your shirt is hurting my eyes too. Okay. Speaking of teams on the FCS level, Kennesaw State's joining the FBS in 2024. They're joining Conference USA. So next year we had James Madison join this year. Next, Houston State and Jacksonville State joining. And then in 2024, we're going to have Kennesaw State joining Conference USA.
That's awesome.
It is awesome, and I'm excited because that means that's like now 6 or 7 FBS teams in the state of Georgia.
So we have Georgia, Georgia Tech, Georgia State, Georgia Southern, 5, and then Kennesaw State.
Okay. I was going to add Mercer there, but the Mercer's still FBS.
Mercer's at the FCS level.
Yeah.
All right.
And you got Georgia State too. And you got Georgia State.
I said Georgia State.
Okay, you got Georgia Southern too.
Yeah. I have an interesting thought here. If you watch Kennesaw State, they play an option offense. I'm curious, transitioning to an FBS level, if Coach Bohannon is going to keep the option offense, if he's going to kind of turn into a spread option, because they played a very traditional option offense.
They did.
And Sean, we haven't asked you about this, but James and I, if it's not of a service academy, Tech showed us with the more athletes that are playing now, you can't play a spread offense like that. You can't play a straight option offense under center like that. What are your thoughts on the option offense working at Power 5 levels?
Well, with the Power 5 offense, I feel like it's been different for the couple of years. It's not the same thing like it was like in previous years.
Right.
So
because they've shown you can play the spread offense and the spread offense can win. But in that tight option offense, every player is within 10 yards of the ball?
Yeah.
And that just doesn't give your athletes room to move.
Yeah, you need to spread it out like what Coastal Carolina does with their option, where it's
or
way more out
Chip
on the
Kelly
edges.
Even what Chip Kelly was doing at Oregon, that was very option based, but you were playing sideline to sideline.
I mean, shoot, Art Briles at Baylor was playing a variation of veer.
He was having his receivers outside of the hash marks, smelling the referee's cologne or something.
Hey, Tennessee does the same thing too.
All right, Sean, this is you right here, man. Penn State, Michigan. What you got? What worries you about Penn State?
What worries me about my Penn State is will Michigan be able to stop the run?
That Nick Singleton guy is built like a tank.
And they just came off the bye week. They just came.
I saw that. I did see that as well.
So they fresh.
Well, Sean Clifford's in like his 86th year of eligibility, so he knows the offense.
God, I hope so.
I want to see Michigan's run defense against Nick Singleton. I'm with you on that, Sean.
Exactly.
I think this could be a very low-scoring game. We could see like a 17-14, 24-21 type game.
Yeah, that type of game.
The over-under on this game is like 63, I think.
Oh, that's super. That's way too much.
I'll take a look. I saw them talking about it last night. I think the over-under on this game is 63. Let me look.
Hold on. I'll pull up Caesars here in just a
second. The over it's 49, and I feel like even 49 might be.
That's gonna get tight.
That is. I don't want to bet that over under at all.
I'll probably stay away from that one.
Michigan's a 7-point favorite, though.
I mean, Michigan should win this game.
And
I'm saying cover. They should win and they should cover easily. Just because I don't like I don't like Penn State's quarterback, even though I know he's been there for 50 years.
Right, I agree with you. And I think the freshman they have behind him would give him a different element in that offense.
Absolutely, and he needs kind of a more running element, and he needs an element of running and passing. And I feel like that's where the issue with Penn State is the quarterback can't run and throw.
They've been
he can either run
back.
or he can throw. He can't do both. He does both bad. He does one great. He doesn't do both. So I feel like this is actually a really great test for Michigan, just because you've seen them not be as good as their ranking has said they should be. I mean, granted they beat the crap out of the Colorado schools in Hawaii. Congratulations,
yeah, and
everybody!
And don't forget UConn.
And you,
sorry, Vanderbilt beat Hawaii by more than you beat Hawaii by. How dare you?
Yeah, you didn't beat Hawaii more than Vandy did. Okay?
Man, the best team in the Big Ten can't beat Hawaii by the worst team in the SEC. Man, that's terrible. You're trash.
I think this is a great test. I feel like this is the great test, and this is going to be showing what Michigan can do. Because I mean, your schedule starts now.
It does.
Let's be real. Michigan's schedule starts now.
This is like a legit game for us.
We have talked about Michigan all season, and Jody has asked us, "What do y'all think about Michigan?" James and I have stood by. We think 0 of Michigan until they play Penn State.
Yeah, we were like, your season starts now.
Because and I wasn't very impressed with your last 2 games. So I'm curious, are you going to have a hangover and still play poorly? Because if you play poorly and you let Penn State hang around longer than they should, not that Penn State's a terrible team.
Right.
But if you let Penn State hang around, as they call it, bounce a ball, anything can happen. So,
and then after that, it's going to get real serious. And then after that, it's Ohio State.
Because you got Michigan State.
You got Michigan
Illinois.
State.
You still have Illinois. And then you have Rutgers.
Purdue.
Purdue. You better watch out.
Purdue.
Purdue can throw the ball over the yard,
We
too.
have Purdue.
So, and then the Rutgers and then Ohio State.
And then you got the what's a Rutgers, and then you got to avoid getting injured by Greg Schiano's team, and then then you got the game. I mean, you also got Nebraska thrown in there, but I mean, this is your schedule now: is Penn State, Michigan State, Rutgers, Nebraska, Illinois, and Michigan.
I'm going to pay attention to Michigan this week. How they play Purdue, because Purdue can throw the ball all over the yard. Because C.J. Stroud can do the same thing. Also, they run the ball pretty well too.
And I mean, and Michigan and Ohio State's going to have a pretty easy schedule coming into Michigan game, and where Sean, they play Northwestern, Indiana, and Maryland coming in there for that.
John, you and I worried about this, about not really having. We talked about this off air, not really having a test game before you started playing real competition.
Right, and please do not count Iowa, because Iowa does not count.
So no, and I told you, I still think you should have played Iowa better. you shouldn't have gave up 14 points to Iowa.
Right.
Because Iowa scored no points.
That's what worries me is you gave up 14 points to Iowa. South Dakota State's defense gave up 3 to Iowa. So is South Dakota State better than Michigan? Just saying. Point being, this is why I hate soft non-conference schedules. Go play me one game against somebody. Go play me a Pitt. Go play me a Oregon. Notre Dame and Ohio State played. Texas, Alabama. Go play somebody so we know early in the season that y'all are going to get up for a game. Because we've seen when you don't play teams till the mid-October, once you're in the middle of your conference schedule, you can sleepwalk and lose 3 games.
Right.
So,
I want to see, is this Michigan defense for real? And, have they been able to absorb the losses that they had last year when they went to the playoffs based on their defense with Hutchinson and all those guys? So, how has Michigan's defense has it improved? Where's the step back? So this is why we've been wondering. You guys have been able to sleepwalk through the schedule and beat the little sisters of the poor, but now it's real. To quote the Iron Sheiky baby, we're in the real now, and can Michigan play up to their level that they should be and play up to their ranking because. The Big Ten, you're going to get one in the playoff, but can you get 2? And I don't see that happening.
Difficult.
I mean, right now it looks like the SEC's got 3 teams right now, which I don't think they have 3 teams. But
you're not going to get 3 teams in, but right now you could definitely get 2.
Yeah.
Sean, how do you feel? How do you feel like the Big Ten should realign the divisions, or do you think they should just go away with the divisions in general?
Since you're having USC and UCLA and those other schools, you're probably going to have to do it to like 4, like North, South, East, and West.
But you can't. I get the theory there, but you can't have a semi-playoff game for a conference championship game and have. That's the only thing with these conferences expanding to big numbers like that, is unless you're playing a strict conference-only schedule, you're not like it's going to be so hard to schedule games.
I mean, like right now, the SEC is dealing with that with having Texas and Oklahoma coming in. They're still bandying about the ideas. I think they're going to go to 9 teams, and they're going to be doing. Yeah, they're going to go the 9 game schedule, and you're going to have 3 permanent opponents, and then the rest are going to be on rotation.
Right.
So I feel like that's because I know Big Ten already plays nine conference games.
The SEC, I think, is the only conference that plays 8 games.
We don't have because we didn't have to.
No. So you got to think, we played 8 games. We had 12 teams.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, I feel like that's a great June and July conversation. But right now we got games.
Listen, we're gonna get to your game. Chill out over there, okay? I see you on the seat of your pants over there, okay?
I'm doing the Clayton. I'm doing the Tyrone Biggums.
Maybe I am intentionally stalling because I'm not ready to talk to you. Maybe I know you're going to be the most annoying person in my contact today. I know I'm going to talk to you all day.
I mean, you have the possibility of either me being the most depressed person or the happiest.
Sure.
I have another question for you about the Big Ten. How would you feel about staying like an East and West?
Okay.
Because when you have 18 teams, you're going to have 9 teams. Drop to 8 games and then only play your side of the division. Do you feel like that would give you a more true side, winner of that side of the division?
In a format like that, that would be more better. It's just a matter of what teams are in the East and West. So, for example, Illinois, they're more.
Or even if you did North and South. The only thing is, if you look, the Big Ten does this because you have Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. So they're going to be grouped together no matter how you do it.
Right.
And they have to protect their most storied rivalry, so they're not going to get rid of that. Right. It'd be dumb to do it.
Right.
So you have to have Ohio and Michigan and Michigan State in the same conference.
All right, excuse me for just a minute. Okay, I think I'm ready to deal with your annoying ass today. James, we have made it to the 3rd Saturday in October. 6-0 Alabama on the road to play 5-0 Tennessee. I'm going to hurt your heart, and then I'm going to let you get it all out. Saban is 15-0 at Alabama versus Tennessee. 16-1 in his career. He lost the first game against Tennessee, revenged that in the SEC title game, and has won every game against Tennessee since then. Bryce Young is a game-time decision. We still don't know if he's playing or not. Tennessee is down their starting wide receiver, Cedric Tillman, and a starting safety. Bama on offense, 44.3 points a game. Oh, almighty Tennessee, 46.8. On defense, Tennessee plays defense? Question mark. 17.8 points per game allowed. Shut up, James. Bama, 12.5 points per game. Sean, what are your thoughts on this game?
I want to see if Alabama can really stop Tennessee's offense. But this game is really more important to Tennessee than it is with Alabama. Because let's be honest, when you gave those stats, it was like Alabama's confident. But I want to see, like, if Tennessee wins this game, this is like a real legit, and this could be like they could get really recruits. So this is like more important for Tennessee to win.
I disagree with you. I think this game is more important to Alabama than Tennessee because Tennessee can lose this game. Tennessee can go play Georgia, beat Georgia, and still make the SEC title game. So I think this game is more important for Bama because of the way they played against A&M. And if Bryce Young plays, how is he going to play? Or if he has to play Milroe, how is he going to play? But I know what James is going to say, and I see him over there on the seat of his pants, which is why I'm procrastinating a little bit.
Oh, my goodness.
Tennessee still has a way to get in the SEC title game if they lose to Bama. And the way Bama has played, I'm not sure that Ole Miss isn't going to beat them. They still don't have receivers. Your offense is Bryce Young and Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs has rushed for 350 yards over the last 2 games. So, James, you're not like rattling in a cage over there? Go ahead and give it to me.
So, the biggest thing for Alabama for this game is they're going to need to have offensive balance because if Tennessee's able to load the box and it's just the Jahmyr Gibbs show, Tennessee has proven that they can stop the run. They made Florida one-dimensional. They made LSU one-dimensional. They made Pitt one-dimensional after a couple of really good runs by Amanda Kanda, who's a really great running back for Pitt.
We were ready to call last week the J&J show with Jahmyr Gibbs and Jalen Milroe, but Milroe had a poor game last week.
He did. And with Bryce Young, with that sprained AC joint, can he even throw the ball deep? I understand. I've been watching him throw it against air.
Bryce Young? You even saw it, the one throw he had, he wasn't even accurate.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I'm with you, James. I want to see if Bryce Young plays, how well he can throw the ball.
Because Tennessee's weakness on defense is their pass defense. Now, Granted, they're able to once they get into the red zone, you know what, and you can say all about bogus red zone stats all you want. It's still the truth is Tennessee's really good in red zone defense. They hold their teams to field goals instead of touchdowns. So, yes, have they given up the deep touchdowns a couple of times? Absolutely. Did Florida truck their terrible secondary? Absolutely. Is Tennessee down their starting safety, Tank McCullough, because of him beating the heck out of a drunk guy last week? Absolutely. So, the secondary is their weakness. However, their strength is their defensive line and linebackers that gets the run. And we also say if Bryce Young is playing, how well is he going to think when Bryce Young and all the rest of the guys hit him a few times?
And see, that was going to be what I was going to bring up. How many hits is it going to take to make him uncomfortable again?
Because they've shown it in the past against the Pitt game. They took out Pitt's best quarterback. They did, and it wasn't. They didn't. It wasn't they were trying to intentionally hurt Slovis. They were just trying to rattle his cage, and they were able to rattle him so much that they took him out of the game.
And they did. I feel like they did the same thing to kind of Jaden Daniels last week. They have shown the ability to get to the quarterback.
They have, and you know what, and you know what, that's the reason why we pay our defensive line coach all that money, because Auburn paid him all that money because of 2 good things. He knows how to coach. He knows how to recruit. So that's why we keep him around. So, the defensive line is really clicking at this moment. And, and Alabama's offensive line isn't like it used to be. It's not the dominant offensive line. So this is where I feel like if all the years that, Tennessee has struggled against Alabama, trust me, I've seen it. I've lived it. I've watched all of them, including the Mount Cody kick, which I did have an epic rant about that when that happened. I was in Houston, Texas, No, Sean, picture this.
Okay.
As a young 49ers fan, I flew all the way down to Houston.
As a young whippersnapper, he was.
As a young lad of like 23.
Okay.
I flew down to Houston, Texas to see Michael Crabtree's first 49ers game. That was after the huge holdout for contract and everything. That was his first game, was in Houston, Texas.
Right.
I meet my friends from the message board. Did not know these guys were Canadian entrepreneurs and had stock in Crystal Skull vodka or anything. So I go, hey, where are you guys watching the games at? Oh, we're at the DoubleTree. Come see us. I'm like, the DoubleTree? You mean the one in downtown Houston? They go, yeah. They had 2 conjoining rooms in this place, and they're watching the Tennessee-Alabama game.
Oh, my.
And I am there watching this in bated breath because Tennessee couldn't drive the entire game. They've had like 3 blocked kicks already, and I'm sitting there going like, no, Lane, don't do this. You need to score a touchdown. We need to score a touchdown. We can't let this be another field goal. Lincoln ain't got it. Lincoln ain't got this. That's our biggest weakness. He always gets his kicks blocked. I'm yelling this. They're driving down the field. I'm like, yes. And then they stall, and I'm like, no. And Mount Cody, to quote Sauce, he's fat. He's fat. This fat guy is able to get his paw up there and block the kick to win the game against Alabama. And that's been the closest we've been since 2009. That's the closest this game has ever been. And tonight, hopefully, is the night that Tennessee finally gets to smoke a cigar, because, man, those things are moldy, but they would still taste just as sweet to smoke if they win this game. And
I know better than to say this from somebody, and James does too. We lose to Alabama continually. We know better than to say this. If Bryce Young doesn't play, has Alabama looked more beatable?
I'm going to let Sean say this because I'm not going to say a thing.
I know better than to say this. We lose to Alabama. You don't understand the joy that happened last year when Georgia beat Alabama in the national title game. Has Alabama looked more beatable if Bryce Young doesn't play?
Oh, they look more beatable easily. No question about that.
I mean, they looked beatable against Texas too, and that was their last true road game.
And I'm going to pull it up. Last week they had 4 turnovers. I do know that. Jalen Milroe fumbled the ball twice or 3 times. James, do you remember?
I don't remember. I think it was 3 times.
They had 111 passing yards against A&M.
App State had more.
286 on the ground, because that's what Jalen Milroe does. That's what Jalen Milroe does. He doesn't understand the pocket yet. He is a true freshman. James?
Yes.
True freshman.
I think he's a redshirt freshman because Kai Simpson is the true freshman in the Alabama quarterback room.
Okay.
Kai Simpson from Middle Tennessee, by the way.
You're right. He is, because there were reports last year that Jalen Milroe was the fastest player on that team last year. And we saw it last week against A&M and even in the Arkansas game, that if he gets out in space, he's dangerous.
Absolutely.
He went, 12 for 19 for 111 yards and 1 touchdown. Or excuse me, 1 interception.
That's not good. That's not good.
And Jahmyr Gibbs went off for another 154 last week. If Bryce Young starts and doesn't finish, or if Bryce Young doesn't start at all, the ability to contain Jalen Milroe in the pocket and make him become a passer becomes imperative.
It does, and Tennessee has gotten better at that this year. Now, granted, they were really bad at it last year. They've gotten better. They're still not great. I
think he's a better athlete than Richardson.
He is.
So I will be interested to see how they
him up. See, my biggest thing is that also this is the first home game. This is the first time Henry To'oTo'o is coming back from Milan since transferring to Alabama. 2
years ago?
Last year he transferred. Okay. Last year because he was there for the 2020 Jeremy Pruitt year.
Okay.
This is the first time he's came back to Neyland Stadium. This is Ty Simpson's first time in Neyland Stadium since committing to Alabama.
Right.
The bad blood that happened. I mean, I know, Sean, you hate Ohio State, and that's a lot of bad blood.
Oh, yes. No, I hate them bad.
You hate them bad.
Do you remember the joy you had last year when Michigan beat Ohio State?
Yes.
James is trying to find
Yeah, I'm trying to do 15 years of that.
That's way even longer.
And not even, and you realize you lost to Ohio State close a couple of times.
Yes, we did.
Tennessee hasn't lost to Alabama close since 2009.
Yeah.
Like
even the one good year with Josh Dobbs, they still lost by 14.
Right. So you had that and the Mount Cody year. Other than that, Alabama has blown out Tennessee every year.
Yeah.
And bad. It hasn't been close. I was there for the 2007 game where Eric Berry did hit the guy and did a 360. And that was the year where you kind of tell that, because like you heard Rammer Jammer being yelled in Neyland Stadium, and you knew that we were going into the wilderness. And now we're finally maybe seeing the end of the wilderness. We're finally seeing the valley outside of the trees. And, with everything going on here, and for Tennessee, if Will Anderson doesn't get to Hendon Hooker, or they give Hendon Hooker a chance to run, it's going to be tough for Alabama to stop Tennessee. They had trouble last year stopping Tennessee. And I feel like the Tennessee offense is better this year, even though they're doing it different ways. Tennessee last year was all momentum based. If you're able to slow them down on momentum wise, you could get a stop or two. This year, you could try all the breaks and all the ways you could do it. Hendon Hooker's going to get his yards, and they're going to get their touchdowns. And Jabari Smalls is actually running the ball very well, which I was completely surprised at from last year.
All right, so James,
this is going to get Richard.
Cover your ears, okay? All right. 2007, Alabama beats 20th ranked Tennessee 41-17. You had the 12-10 year. Then you had Alabama 41-10, 37-6, 45-10, 49-10, 45-7, 58-21, 48-17. Last year 52-24. The misery's got to stop sometime. And we say every year Bama looks beatable. I really think Bama looks beatable, even if Bryce Young plays, because we don't know, are we getting fully healthy Bryce Young? Is he playing at 50%? What is that arm going to look like?
And this is going to be one of the loudest environments he's ever been in.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Orange out? Aren't they oranging out this week?
We are doing an orange out, which is different this year. We've never done an orange out ever.
So
we've never.
So we're now orange out. We've already worn the smoky grays.
The smoky gray curse has been broken.
Didn't they wear the black ones too?
We're doing dark mode later this year.
Okay.
So we broke the checkered Neyland curse, and now the only last dragon to slay is the Peyton Manning 5-head curse that is going to be happening this game. We've got Peyton Manning coming to town, which has brought a lot of existential fear to Tennessee fans. But Tennessee fans are ready. They've been ready since Thursday. Yesterday was.
Send me a picture of somebody already camping out on Thursday afternoon.
Yes, they were already camping. And then last night I drove Neyland Drive, and I saw literally 12 rows, 8 boats deep on the Vol Navy last night. Already last night as I was going to my comedy show. So it was great.
People say the SEC is different. How many other places are camping out 3 days before a game?
I mean, I don't even.
Real. Go ahead,
Sean. Do you think Ann Arbor would do that?
No way in the world they would do that. Maybe 2 days or a day, not 3.
Nope. He sent me a picture. One person on Thursday afternoon already with a tent up.
Oh my.
So,
3 days?
Yeah, 3. No, people showed up on Wednesday. You start seeing people filing in on Wednesday.
I've never seen that on college football.
Yeah, for college football.
Passion is real.
And Neyland is not like a very easy place to camp and everything. No, it's hilly. It sucks. It really does. The boats is a wonderful idea because you actually have a place to sleep. Steve Martin Short made a joke last night that he couldn't find a hotel in the 250-mile radius because the dang game.
Might as well come to Atlanta then.
They're in Chattanooga tonight. So
okay.
Yeah, that. By the way, that Steve Martin show, fantastic, absolutely worth the price of admission. There, it was amazing, but it was great.
Sean, thanks for joining us this week. It was nice to have you.
As always.
James, please continue to be the most annoying person in my contact today. I look forward to that.
If Tennessee wins tonight, I guarantee one thing's going to happen.
I'm going to put my phone on mute or turn it off. That's what's going to
Probably
happen.
going to have to turn it off.
That goalpost is going in the river. The goalpost
Sean, do you
will go
realize
in the
how many
river.
times my phone is going to ring if Tennessee wins tonight?
How many?
Over under 3.5 minimum.
It's probably going to be more than
Minimum 3.5.
So,
All right,
so,
fellas,
so we're, I'm gonna, hold on. I'm gonna peel back the little curtain of there. During the Florida game, this man calls me.
This was terrible.
Oh,
He calls me
This was
as
fucking
I had to go
terrible.
run because I had my nephews with me. I was having to go run, grab some arts and crafts from a
God,
Joanne across
terrible.
the street. He calls me and goes, "How do you do this every week?
Right.
Every week."
I'm like, James, do you hate yourself? You don't have to be like this.
We're Tennessee
doesn't
fans.
have to
We're
be
built
like that.
different. I have the cup on just because I'm ready for the kick in the groin.
No,
to
you
happen.
built stupid. That's different.
you feel stupid.
Well, fellas, thanks for joining me this week. I hope
right.
your teams do big things this week. Georgia plays Vandy, so just don't.
God
shit the
forbid
bed,
you
y'all.
guys better win that game. If not, I am going to be calling
That
you
should
for
be
a
a
completely
blowout.
different level.
Actually, if Georgia doesn't win by 21, I expect everybody to call me. Okay, honestly, I expect everyone that knows me, that knows I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan, that knows that I don't shut up about college football, to call me and just rub it in my face that we struggled against Vanderbilt.
You should. Yeah, that should be a blowout.
That's terrible. That's terrible. All right, fellas. Well, y'all have a good week. Enjoy your games, and we will see y'all next week.
All right.
Go Vols, come on.
Go blue.